Hi everyone, welcome to the video. This one is all about students resitting examinations. Hey, my name is Caroline. I am a physics lecturer based here in the UK, and something that I thought that might be worth chatting about is students who are resitting exams but not within the late summer assessment period. So in previous videos, I think I've chatted about when a student is unable to take an examination or for whatever reason doesn't pass an examination, usually they have a second opportunity to take it, and typically the opportunity comes within the late summer assessment period. However, there are other times when students might be taking examinations as either a second attempt or as a first attempt if they had extenuating circumstances, and they might be taking those during a regular semester. At my university, and I suspect this might be typical to many other UK-based and probably international universities, if you fail or don't pass a certain number of credits within one academic year, rather than take them in the late summer assessment period, if you've not passed a significant number of those credits, you're asked to retake the entire year. And I think that's obviously to help students so you're not actually trying to retake too many exams in one go. So often if you failed just 1, 2, maybe 3 modules, you're able to take those again in the late summer assessment period. But if you failed a more significant fraction of the year, rather than take those exams in the late summer assessment period, instead you're looking to take them as a year. So you have to wait a whole year and do the exams again. And this means students will often get a choice. So they can choose to resit those examinations in the next year, either with attendance at the university or without attendance. And that's exactly what it says, right? So if you're attending with attendance, it means you'll go to the lectures as normal. You can access all the class resources and materials. So essentially you're a student re-enrolled on that module that you didn't maybe pass the first time through, and then you're going to take it with the class going through for the second time. If you're taking it without attendance, then you're not turning up to university, you're not going to lectures, you're not going to classes, you are literally just going to be doing the assessments. And from my experience, that's personal choice, which one students want to take. Some students want to be attending in the classroom and to have the opportunity to go through those lectures again. Other students are just happy to retake that failed assessment. And of course, there's going to be an implication on tuition fees. You, I think, typically have to pay more if you're actually attending in person than if you're doing it as an attendance without person and just doing the exams. But importantly, as the academic, I have to provide the same assessment for those students who are taking it with or without attendance as they had the first time round. So if the student the first time round had to do maybe a multiple choice test paper and then a lab experiment and then an exam, I need to ensure that the next year, when they're having a second go at these assessments, they get the same format. And that can be quite tricky because your module may have changed. So the structure of your module may have changed, your assessment structure may have changed, but a university will often ask or require you to do assessments in the same format if you have got students who are taking that examination again the next year. So it means that you might end up with your new cohort doing one form of assessment. And if you have students who, as I said, are retaking that year from the previous one, they will need to be doing assessments that are the same format as they sat the first time round. And as an academic tutor, you have to remember to keep this on your radar. It's so easy in semester to kind of get swept up by teaching and your classes and the new cohort. You must then remember, okay, do I have any students who are needing to take the examinations again within the calendar year? And are they going to be taking the assessment in a form that's suitable for this year's cohort, or do I need to make sure that actually I have the right assessment format for them from the previous year? It's quite tricky to explain. I'm not sure I'm doing a great job of putting this into words. I guess the take home for me as an academic tutor is not to become so focused on the current class that I'm teaching that I forget to check and ensure that the previous cohort, whether there's anybody from that previous cohort who needs to be doing an examination or an assessment. And they might not be doing all the exams or all the assessments. It's quite common for a student to only need to take a certain part of the module again. So they might have passed, I don't know, one of the class tests, they might have passed the way exam. They could just be needing to do one of the units of assessment. And so as the tutor, I need to make sure I know which students they are and which units of assessment they're going to be revisiting. And so you can have a situation where you are asked to do your exam papers for this year. So I'm writing and making sure I've got exam papers for the current cohort going through my lecture class. I've also got to make sure that I've got an exam paper ready for the late summer assessment period for next year, so that any student who takes my exam in January for the first attempt but needs to take it again in the late summer assessment period, or needs to delay their exam in the late summer assessment period, can. So they need to have an exam paper ready to go. And I've also got to make sure that the individual units of assessment that might be being retaken by students from the previous year's cohort are also, in a ready to go format and are the correct, meeting the university requirements for the students to retake those assessments. So you can be juggling assessments for your current class, the future class who might need to be revisiting it, and for the class in the previous year who are coming back through who also might need to be revisiting it. So it's not just this case of you teach one class and you write one assessment. I think it's far more typical that you're teaching one class and you're actually writing multiple assessment papers, multiple assessment questions, or these different scenarios. But I'd love to know how you find it if you're a course tutor. Do you have university policies in place about people being able to resit exams with or without attendance? Do you have to remind yourself to check to make sure you know if people from the previous year are going to be needing to take your exam paper? What is your tactic to make sure that you have all of your assessments ready to go? Let me know in the comments. It's one of those kind of quirky areas, I think, of being a lecturer that we don't often talk about. These reassessment periods, students taking things at different points in the calendar semester. It just adds a little bit to the workload. And maybe these are things in the workload that we don't typically see or think about. So let me know in the comments, how do you deal with this tracking to make sure you have all your assessments ready to go? But in the meantime, we're week 5 now at my university. So the new cohort are finding their stride. The master students are working hard. Our final year students are starting to think about their placements and projects for next semester after Christmas. So it's all go at the university. It is a lovely buzz on campus at the moment. But whatever you're doing, whether you're studying or teaching or thinking about university, look after yourselves. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, join our little academic space here on YouTube. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next Monday for another academic video. Bye.